if you look at the next one, this is what some of y'all were asking about, which is time management. Who here would like more time? About half of you? Okay. Who here is just tired and didn't feel like raising their hand? That's a trick question. Okay. So Jean-Louis Servan-Schreiber is a French guy who wrote a really cool little book called The Art of Time, and in that book he pointed out the irony is that although everybody's always asking for more time, the reality is we all have access to all of it all the time. So what I realize is no matter how much you want more time, you aren't going to get any. You already have all that there is. It's more how we relate to time and what we do with the time that we have. So I would suggest that you have, and I have, a relationship with time. And I would suggest the thing to start focusing on changing is your relationship with time. Does anybody have a relationship where they're always frustrated with the other person and it goes really well? Okay, now, in a healthy relationship, at least the other person's probably trying to adjust themselves in order to meet your needs while you're trying to adjust to meet theirs, but time's not changing. So if you're frustrated with time, you have zero hope of having time alter itself for your benefit. What we can do is to start to manage the relationship more positively. So I'm not joking, and it may sound weird, but I actually wrote a vision of my relationship with time where I talked about respecting time, honoring time, making the most of my time, mindfully choosing what to do with my time, and not being mad that there wasn't enough time, because that doesn't make a lot of sense. It's like complaining about the weather. It kills time, but nothing good happens, and the weather never gets better just because we complained about it. If you didn't notice that, I'm just saying. And by the way, complaining about the weather is kind of entertaining, but it's not a good use of time if you're trying to actually accomplish something. So one thing to put in your mind is being mindful of how you relate to time. I'm telling you, it makes a big difference. That's the biggest thing you can change. There will never be more hours in the day, more days in the week. It's not coming. Within that, I would suggest the more mindful you become, the more you make the most of every minute. I don't mean that you should never sit still and watch a football game, sit still and go fishing, just sit in the park. I'm just saying, if that's what you choose to do, appreciate it. Choose it, and then appreciate it. It's amazing how much time there actually is when you start to use it. I spoke at a class at the university the other day, and you know, of course, when you're 22, I've been there, it's like you got forever. But I was talking about this thing about using time mindfully, and of course, you know, eventually one of the students goes, you know, you're totally right. We spend so much time on social media. If we just spent like an extra hour or two a day, and I'm like, yep, add it up. Hour a day, 7 days a week, 7 hours a week, 350 hours a year. At the end of 10 years, it's 3,500 hours. You could have been reading books, calling your friends to have a meaningful dialogue, meditating, learning a new skill. It's quite amazing. So I'm not judged. There's no judgment for me. It's just, if here's where you want to end up and you're spending time going this way, it's not helpful. How long did that 3 good things take? 3 minutes. If you do that every day, I'm telling you, your life will be better. I want to try an experiment. Who's got a cell phone? Only half of you? Okay, can you use them? Okay, so I want to show you a little thing. It's not bad. Nothing bad's going to happen. Don't worry. So I want you to take your phone out, and I want you to text or email, whatever is easier for you, somebody in your life that you appreciate, and tell them. I'm not going to ask who it is, and you don't have to tell me. It could be your child, your significant other. It could be the secretary. It could be your payroll person. It could be the person who works the front desk. I just want you to just say, in your words, say thanks. I did it for one of our employees at the coffee company this morning because I saw an email from him about something else to somebody else that just happened to be on the email. I was like, he's so good, man. So I just sent him an email saying, I love working with you. Could be your wife, could be your husband, could be your kid. You can send it to your dog, but they won't get it. You can put it in your own words. I love you, I love this, I really appreciate how you do this. It's very low risk. Later, if something good happens from it, email me. I'm just curious. It's just a little experiment. I've never actually done this in a group. Got to live on the edge once in a while. No, see, people, like in the 5 minutes that people spend complaining about, pick your poison, the football team, the government, the blah, 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 their boss, they could appreciate 6 people in their life.
In a former life, I had a colleague who suggested writing 6 congratulatory notes every Friday and sending them out to people.
Beautiful.
25 years ago.
Yeah.
And just congratulations. And he said, you know what? They did something that they did that they deserve congratulations.
Oh, we're surrounded by good people, y'all, even on our worst day. I'm going to tell you, somebody picks up the garbage at your house. Somebody keeps your email going. Somebody writes the payroll. Somebody cleans up at the end of the night. Somebody washes the dishes or whatever the corollary is in your industry. Our significant others put up with us. I'm sorry?
I said amen.
No, it's true. See, we all get in a dance. And I'm just suggesting if the dance isn't always working for you, you might try a new step. And you can lead. And it works. Okay. Let's keep going. What's next? Oh, you're jumping ahead. What's next?
Ask for help.
Very good. The image of strength and success in this country, which is not horrible, but is that when you're strong and good, you never need help. This is one of the silliest statements I ever see, and I see it all the time. Great leaders never show fear. It's like, that is so dumb. Because all it does is make the other people think they're screwed up and no good because they're afraid. And I'm like, dude, I'm afraid all the time. I just learned to go ahead anyway. The people in our organization that are the most successful are the ones who are the most collaborative and the ones who ask for help. Any dummy can let the client leave unhappy. Who I want is the one to go, man, I know I'm trying my best, but I can't turn them around. Could you help me? The reason I wanted y'all to meet each other is because in this room, there's a lot of things that could help you and a lot of skill sets that you all don't have that the other people have. It's very powerful. When you start asking for help, it often arrives. And I'm not being mystical and religious, and I'm not saying the Lord's going to interfere on your behalf. What I'm saying is people around you want to help, but they don't know what you want. Because we're trained to act strong and tough, then unconsciously the employees start proving that we're fallible. If you go to the employee next time you're having a difficult struggle about an issue, not something that has to be secret, but you're not sure, should we start this new line of product? Should we change our hours? Like anything. And you just go to like some new employee that you hired and you go, hey man, do you have a minute to help me out? I've been thinking a lot about whether we should stay open later on Sundays. What do you think? I've been thinking a lot about whether we should bring in this new line of clothing. What do you think? I'm not really sure. What's the message to them? You value their opinion. When people feel valued, how do they likely behave? Like they matter. See, the funny thing is in business, most of the frontline people act like they don't matter, and they do stuff like, you go like, this product's not right, and they go, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do. And I have that same reaction. It's like there's a million things you can do, but there's nothing I can do. They're helpless. I'm like, really? My point is, when we act like they matter, they act like they matter. it's magical. And you know what? You might learn stuff, because you know what? They know stuff you and I don't know. They have perspectives we don't have. I stand by, this is my anarchist stuff, but I believe there's a guy named Murray Bookchin who's really was a little crazy, but very interesting and insightful. And he said, and I believe he is true, any normal human being is essentially capable of running any organization of which they're a part. That's my belief. The problem is, in most organizations, they don't teach them anything, and then they throw them in at the last minute, and they make dumb decisions, and we use that as proof to show how dumb they were. But what I'm telling you is, when you watch the people on that film, if I told you that was the CFO, the CEO, the head of HR, the marketing manager, and our board of directors, you would have gone, yeah, they sound like it. But what that really mostly is a bunch of hourly people who Joe York walked up to with his camera and said, what's Zingerman's? Why? Because they're learning how to run the business and think like a leader and think like a business person from the time they get there, and then their answers are way more thoughtful, not one-dimensional. What am I supposed to say? What do they want me to say? It's like, it's not a canned thing. Say what you believe. Go from the heart. So asking for help, good things will come to you. One of the ironies of Gary's program for me from the outside is they're providing people with all this great help, and then people don't take it because they're too busy complaining that they don't have time. It's like, no, the reason you don't have time is because you're not using the help. It's funny if you get the humor of it. Now, number 7, get around the right people. Who do you think the right people would be? Okay, people who know more than you do that you could learn from. What else?
Successful people.
Yeah, and successful is subjective, right? So what's successful to one is not successful to the other. There's not a universal standard. It's not living the dream. So it's the people who have been through what you're going through or about to go through and have come out the other side have wisdom.
I think somebody positive. Being around positive.
Right, unless your vision is to be as negative as possible, in which case that would be a bad move. Just being, I don't like to be judgmental. So if you're trying to be cynical and negative and crabby, then being around positive people is a nightmare.
That would kill her.
It would kill you. It's like the vampire with the cross in front of them. They're going to go down. But yes, being around positive people is more likely to be positive. This is why it's a natural law of business that people do their best work when they're part of a great organization. Why? Because the work ethic, the mindset, the energy is really good. Unless you're totally determined to be crabby and negative, it's hard to be negative when everybody else is focused on doing good work. Okay? So getting around people that have been through the stuff you're going to go through and come out the other side is really important and helpful. There's lots of resources out there. It's a funny thing, but if you email people that you're interested in meeting, most of them will email you back. Wayne, how did we meet? And what is it, just a random, like you picked my email out of the list, or? So you read the book on customer service, and then what'd you do?
A couple of questions, I think.
So I got an email from a guy in Alexandria, Louisiana, which, no offense, I never heard of. It's okay, now I feel like I'm part of the community, it's great. So Wayne had the courage to ask for help and to get around the right people. So books, by the way, or YouTube videos or whatever, are a great way to get around the right people. Gary Snyder, who's the last of the living beat poets from San Francisco, said that books are like our grandparents. And I love that. Because like in the same way, I can't remember who said it, but he was like, I left home at 18 and my father knew nothing, and when I came home 10 years later, I was amazed at how much he had learned. Books are like our grandparents because you can learn it in a way that's different. By the way, that's statistically shown one of the most common themes, and I'm not saying this because I write books, but is one of the most common themes of successful people is reading. And here's the thing. You could be around some of the most brilliant, wise people in the world, and they'll be with you forever. When you put them down, they don't take it personal. They'll be waiting right there when you come back. I'm just saying. There's wisdom all around, but we don't pick it up because people are too busy complaining. Okay? So getting around good people will increase the odds of having good things happen. If you want bad things to happen, get around bad people. No offense, but in high school, my vocabulary decreased significantly from freshman year to senior year. You didn't hear that wrong. My vocabulary decreased from freshman year till senior year. It's gone up since, but I'm just telling you. Now, I was no less intelligent. It's just, if you hang around with people that don't use interesting words, you don't remember how to use them. Okay, vision. Maybe next year I'll come back and we'll do an all-day visioning thing. Okay, that's a vision. I'm a huge believer in visioning. We have a process for visioning, which some of you all have used when I've been here before. It's very powerful. A vision, as we define it, and I'm only going to do a little snippet here, and then we'll do the last thing, which is on energy, and we'll get you out of here. But a vision is, if you get to success in the future and you describe what that success looks like, whether that's your personal life, your organization, a project you're working on, a client interaction, or a meeting, if you define that success with enough detail that you know whether you have actually arrived, that's your vision. What happens if you don't have a clear vision of where you're going? You won't get there. You'll get older, but you won't get to where you want to go. Taking a half an hour or 45 minutes, if you don't want to wait for next year, the recipe's in the first book and in the third book. It's not hard. In 30 to 45 minutes, using the process, which is basically just sit down and write out the future you want. There's a little more to it, but not that much. You can draft your vision of success. There's no right vision and there's no wrong vision. I have no judgment around how much you work or how little you work, what job you have, where you live, how much or how little money you make. There's no right or wrong vision. The key is just to get clear on where you want to go, because if you're clear, the odds of you getting there will go up a lot. It's not magic. If you're clear on where you're going, it's easier to make decisions that help you get there. When you're clear on where you're going and you share the vision with the other people in your life, they will help you. When they don't know where you're going, they guess at where you're going. It's called dysfunctional families. I grew up in one. They don't mean badly, but they give you the help they think you should want, not the help you actually want. Just saying. Frequently, especially when you're at this stage of life, whatever stage you're at, we often know in our heart what we want, but we've gotten so far from it that we don't even want to admit to ourselves anymore that it's what we really want. And it may be, you know, we have dreams of doing stuff that, I mean, Cindy was sitting up in the back corner and she said this morning, what if what you want to do is really different from what you're doing now? And it's not like I don't like what I'm doing, but it's like, yeah, that's a vision. Paul came to me 15 years ago. We kind of were working on small. We didn't quite understand visioning as well as I do now, but we were already doing some of it. And he came to me and he said, I think I have to leave the company. And I was like, whoa, why? And he's like, well, I really want to work more with nonprofits, and I think I want to spend like half my time just working with nonprofits. And I just said, okay, go ahead. Why not? And here we still are, 15 years later, working totally fine together. And truthfully, I don't know that he actually reduced how much he works or not. I don't keep track. But the point is, being free to pursue what you want to pursue in a win-win setting made it possible for him to go after it. Had we never had that dialogue, it's not hard to imagine he would have just come in and said, I'm leaving, I want you to buy me out, I can't live my dream here. And it would have been this really sad departure. But by actually saying by knowing where he wanted to go, which was his vision, by asking for help and saying where he wanted to go, by having dialogue, we could work on it together. And it's done great things for our community through his amazing work. It's made our organization healthier. It's made me healthiir. And he's living his dream, which is a cool thing. So if you're not clear on where you want to go, it's hard to know. Now, my vision, which is in the back of the book, my personal work vision, you know, I'm doing what I want to do. So But I've spent the last 25 years or whatever working on living the way I want to live. So it's not like I have this whole dream outside of work. I made work my dream. But not everybody's done that. So I'm not saying you have to leave what you're doing. It may be a 10-year vision, but if you allow yourself the freedom to dream and write that dream down and share it with the other people that you care about in your life, the odds of it happening will go up significantly. And by the way, it's not an accident, but in my personal vision, which is back here, it says I'm teaching Zinc Train like today, but overseas because I want to do it to travel, and I'm leaving Friday night for Slovakia to teach to a conference of progressive business people and then to a conference of nonprofit people where I'm actually teaching visioning. And I'm going to get to tell them, hello, in my vision it says I'm teaching overseas, and now here I am teaching you about visioning overseas. It's pretty amazing what starts to happen once you're clear on where you want to go. The recipe's on the next page. I'm not going to walk you through it now, but again, it's in the books. You can email me if you're stumped. I'm happy to help you. It's a very powerful process. And by the way, I'm just going to tell you from earlier this morning, we teach the visioning to everybody in our company. We encourage them to write personal visions. It's way easier to manage someone who knows where they want to go, and then you help them get there, than it is to manage someone who feels lost and overwhelmed. And even if their vision says they want to leave the company, it's okay, because what's the point of them staying like an indentured servant being somewhere they don't want to be when they'd rather be living in Hawaii surfing? Good, my job is to help you get there. How much do you need to save? Better start working hard now. No, it's okay, because working hard now to go surf 3 years from now, let's go. Working hard now because I told you you have to work hard? Sucks. Speaking of sucks, let's just look at energy and then I'll get you out of here. Page 15. What do you think energy is? All of it. Who's responsible for our energy? Really? I mean, if your boss wasn't such a jerk, it'd be so much easier. If the government did this, we could have good energy. If your wife did this, you could have good energy. Give it up, man. You're free. It's not anybody's fault but our own. We teach this stuff that I'm going to teach you, we teach to every employee. From the minute they start working there, we teach them they're responsible for the energy that they bring to the work. And once they get it, they figure out they're actually responsible for the energy they bring everywhere. Guess what happens to their life? Forget work. When they bring better energy to a date, when they bring better energy to their children, guess what happens to their life? It gets better. It's all a sustainable organic ecosystem. If they feel better outside of, it's none of my business what they do outside of work, but it's just kind of obvious. If they feel better at home and they get up in the morning and come to work, how's their energy likely to be? Better. And if we provide them with a good work experience and they're having fun at work and they go home, how's their relationship likely to be? Just saying. It's all a sustainable ecosystem. So this thing of work and life as two different things, it doesn't make any sense. No offense. It's all framed as work-life balance, like your work is at war with your life, and if we do really well, we'll get a ceasefire. It's so negative, man. I'm going for a great life, which includes work. And my family, and me. It's all one existence. The more you're living your values and bringing the same approaches in a positive way to all of what y'all do, the better it works. Because guess what happens when people learn visioning at work? Then they start writing visions for their wedding. They write a vision for their vacation. They write visions for their relationship. Why? Because it works. If the two of y'all are clear on where you're going, the odds of getting there are really a lot higher. If you're not clear on where you're going to guess and you're going to be wrong. Then you're going to be mad and it's not fun. So teaching them energy is huge. There's 3 types you could see that we work on page 15. The first is your physical energy. How would you manage that to be successful? Rest is good. Sleep, what else?
Exercise.
Exercise, very helpful. What else? Diet, eating well, very helpful. And by the way, interestingly, with the aerobic exercise, there's a lot of data on this now. So when you're doing aerobic exercise, like running, rowing, whatever y'all do, it's actually pulling oxygen into your brain. And literally, people don't have enough oxygen in their brain. Their thinking is not good. The second type is your emotional or spiritual, mental, intellectual energy. How would you manage that to be effective? Yeah, meditation, any sort of formal or informal spiritual activity, whether it's going to church or walking in the woods, whatever works for you. No judgment on any of them. It's just whatever personally is rewarding. What else would you do? Yeah, being around good people.
She said journaling, I agree with that.
The journaling's hugely helpful for me. Meditation, again, all that. Being around good people. Emotion is contagious. This is statistically shown. Negative emotion is more quickly contagious than positive emotion. The theory is it goes back to prehistoric times because humans needed to be sensitive to danger, and so they're really attuned to negativity. But being around good people, whether it's your significant other, people at work, your friends that are positive, all of that will help. Hopefully learning will help, or else you just wasted the afternoon. Okay? The third element is the one that blew me away when I learned all this, which is in the red book. I learned it from a woman who's become a good friend of mine. Her name is Anise Kavanaugh, A-N-E-S-E. Kavanaugh with a C. You could look her up. She lives out in Sacramento, and she does whole intensive workshops around this, which are highly recommended. So the first two were helpful. The third one blew me away. Vibrational energy is the energy everyone picks up from us. It's not what we think we're doing, it's what they think we're doing. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like there's people in your life that like when you're having a bad day and you see them coming, you go the other way. Or like when you see their email in your stack and you're having a bad day, you skip it. It doesn't make them bad people. It just means their energy is not helpful. Then there's the other people. You're having a bad day. It's who you want to go to. It's why people would go to Paul, because for whatever his other issues, his vibrational energy, which is, by the way, a reflection of your internal dialogue, in my opinion, but his vibrational energy was grounded and positive. And when you're having a bad day, that's who you want to be with. It could be your pastor, your parents, your pet. By the way, it's nice. That's why we like to be around our dogs if we have dogs or cats, because they never get mad at you, really. They're always happy to see you, no matter how late you are. How would you manage your vibrational energy?
Self-talk?
Yeah, the self-talk is huge. The more I treated myself with respect, the more positive my vibrational energy became. What else? And by the way, don't criticize yourself for having critical self-talk, because that won't help. Some of you are overachievers, so you're already like beating on yourself for having bad self-talk. I'm like, dude, that's the opposite of what I'm trying to say. What else would you do? Yeah, so just mindfully managing your energy is going to help. Here's some really simple things. Smiling. Roughly 60% of the world, in my experience, has a resting facial expression that is not a smile. It doesn't mean you're angry and unhappy, but it does mean most of the world will think that you're angry and unhappy. When they think that you're angry and unhappy, how will they respond to you? Defensively, whatever. So all I'm saying is by changing the facial expression, you will change the response other people. These women deal very effectively with customers like I do all day long. I can already see it. If you go into a difficult customer interaction like this, what's the odds of getting a good outcome? You could be ready to give them $1 million. They're ready for a fight. Okay? Smiling. Posture. Just saying. My mother would imply that standing up straight made you a better person. I don't think that's true. But what I'm going to tell you is people respond differently. If you walk into a business of any sort and they're going like this, you will respond differently than if they're going like this. Squaring your shoulders, standing up straight, I'm not judging you. I'm just telling you the response that you get from others in your life will be radically different. You're the same person. And you can argue they shouldn't judge you on it, but they are. So get over it, in my opinion. 97% of what people take away from an interaction with us is not the words that we say, it's everything else. Only 7% of what they take away is the words. The rest is body language, tone of voice, eye contact. And eye contact does not mean staring at the person. It means meaningful eye contact. When you make eye contact with people, if you just smile a little, raise your eyebrows, do something, you will see that the connection is very powerful. Interestingly, they're showing now statistically that your energy increases from making eye contact. It's funny. Yeah, so see, people like us that have been doing this a long time, see, we're actually, in a good way, feeding off of y'all's energy when we wait on you. And that's part of what keeps us going. But in this case, it's not a depletable resource. It's actually a renewable resource. So now we feed off of your energy because we're making good eye contact with you. Then you take our energy and then you feel better, which creates more good energy around us. It's a beautiful thing. And this is not made up. Okay? Other things that would help you. Breathing. If you just stop and do 5 to 10 deep breaths with your shoulders squared, you will feel better and your vibrational energy will be better. I guarantee it. When you start to lose it, I'm telling you, see, from running, you internalize it. Like when you run or you row or whatever you do, you don't even know you're doing it anymore because it's just what we do. But if you don't breathe right, I'm telling you, your energy is off. Other things, compassion. Empathy, putting yourself into other person's shoes, and generosity. By doing a small good deed for other people, not to get me off your back, but just out of honest generosity. And that could be anything from sending a thank you note to whatever. It will improve your vibrational energy. Elmian.
The thing that I took away, that I talked to Denise about what was really helpful for me, was positive intent.
Yep.
Was that even if I'm feeling crummy, if I don't physically feel good, if I don't, whatever, I don't really want to do the work that I'm doing, bringing as much positive intent as I can to it, and feeling like I'm going to do my best work and I'm going to positively impact as many people around me as I can, increases my vibrational energy. Even if I'm still feeling physically lousy and still, kind of struggling with whatever it is the work that I'm doing, the positive intent is the switch for me in the vibrational energy. Because otherwise, there are a lot of the things that you can do, but if you still feel like I'd just rather go home, it's hard to fuck up.
They're picking it up. So the energy, here's what I realized. So we're doing a lot of work around succession planning. It's important. We're not 18. We got to figure out the legal stuff. We're actually made enormous headway, and it's pretty cool. In another 2 years, we'll have a Zing Train seminar on succession planning. No, I mean, it's a big issue out in the world, right? But here's the other piece. I started to look at my energy as that's the ultimate succession planning, because we don't know how long we're going to be there. And I started to realize that the energy, like if I drop today, the last thing everybody's going to remember is the energy that I brought. Because the feelings that we put into the room are more important in terms of what people take away. And I started to think about my energy as this little box that I could put my energy in, and I was passing it around from one employee to the next. And it reminded me when I was starting to slide into a bad mood to get my act together. Because if today was the last day and I went out ragging on all of them and being negative and critical, that's not how I want to go out. And so it's very powerful. I think, I don't like getting up in the morning, but I'm good at it. Somewhere between going, oh, and getting to work, it's like I'm going to get in a better mood. And it's not that hard once you become good at it. Here's the little recipe. Read your energy. We use a 0 to 10 scale. 0 sucks, 10 is great. It doesn't mean you're running around frantically like a crazy person. So it could be 0 to Zen. It's calm, grounded, positive 10 energy. Second step, vision it at the end of the shift, at the end of the day, at the end of a difficult meeting. Where do you want your energy to be? It's your call. Sometimes we have difficult things going on in our lives. Somebody's really sick. Somebody passed away in our family. These are very difficult. It's hard to have great upbeat energy after somebody that we care about passed away. I get it. But those are like 5 days out of 700. The rest of the time at work, it's not okay to come to work at a 6. So when they go like, I'm not feeling it today, it's like, imagine, pick your sport. Like they go, I don't really feel it today. Coach, I don't know. I'll do my best, whatever. It's like they would be kicked off the team. Right. So I understand when there's enormous stress happening, yes, but that's the exception. The rest of the time, we're professionals at whatever our work is. Bring good energy. The third step, manage it. The fourth step is to repeat it, because as soon as you get where you're going, something weird's going to happen. This is the whole thing of it's all one life. People are like, I want to go home and relax. It's like, if I don't bring good energy to my relationship, guess what? It doesn't go that well. It's not any different than at work. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I like going to work and I like going home. But if I totally let down, then guess what? It's not going that great, because I still choose to be sensitive, aware, and supportive, and that takes work. It's not bad work, it's good work, but it takes work. If you use this little recipe, it will help you enormously. Questions, thoughts? Am I scaring you? Is this helpful at all? Most surprising, helpful, interesting thing you learned today?
I don't have to do anything.
You don't have to do anything. It's very freeing. My energy got so much better once I realized that. I'm not joking. Because all day long I was like under compulsion. And then, no, I'm serious. So like when I choose to stay late, I choose to leave early, I choose to go here, I choose to do this. It's very powerful. You can see it in your face, honestly, in a good way. What else?
Create a vision.
Yep. If you don't know where you're going, you're not likely to get there. What else?
My vision wasn't detailed enough.
Yeah. The more detail you put in, see what's meaningful to you, no one else knows. And what society says is success may not be meaningful to you at all. But whatever, having a certain kind of seat in your car, I don't care. If it means a lot to you, put it in the vision. If having, like when we started Zinc Train, Maggie's vision was that she was going to spend 5-6 weeks vacation every summer with her little kids, because she had a 3-year-old and she was pregnant with her second son. And you know what? We did it. She's made it happen. And more power to her. My vision is I want to work more, because I don't have kids and I'm trying to work a lot because I'm going to run out of years and I got about 8 more books to write, and people like Wayne want to read them. What else did you learn?
Ask for help.
Asking for help. It's very powerful. It's amazing how many people will help you.
Business is a mirror of ourselves.
Yep.
So if we want our business to be awesome, we need to look at ourselves.
Yeah. And you're already doing a lot of great things or you wouldn't be sitting in this room. So I'm not bringing all this as a drag you down. Build on the great things you're already doing. This is just a few more tools in your toolbox. I'm going to let you go. Again, you have my cards are over there. My email's ari@zingermans.com. Truly, if somebody responds positively to your text or email from earlier, it would help me to know what happened. They might be shocked if you haven't appreciated them in your whole life. They might fall over.
I got a response already.
You did?
Yeah.
What happened?
She wrote to one of my operations persons.
Yeah.
She put on here, "Thank you. You teach me that way. Love you even if you leave. You'll always be in my life."
How do you feel?
Awesome.
This is the beauty of this whole thing. It's like solar energy. It's never going away. So for that 60 seconds, what's her name?
Tracy.
Tracy feels better. I guarantee you,
Yeah.
for the whole rest of her day at work, Tracy's work will be 1 or 2 points higher. Think of how many other people she impacts. Now, Kathy feels better. Kathy's going to go home. She's going to tell this story. No, it's true.
Exactly.
How much did that cost? Nothing. They would call me in the economic crisis and they go, "We need tips for CEOs, low-cost tips in difficult economic times." I couldn't think of anything we did other than buy high-quality food that cost a lot. It's all free. They want the government program, they want the initiative, the software. I'm like, dude, just smile. Okay, here's the last quote for you. It comes from a guy you never heard of, Amon Hennessy. He was a Catholic anarchist in the mid-20th century. I like to scare you by quoting people you never heard of. He said, "We really can't change the world. We really can't change other people. The best we can do is start a few thinking here and there. The best way to do this, if we are sincere, is to change ourselves. The only revolution worthwhile is the one-man revolution within the heart. Each one could make this by himself and not need to wait on a majority." So thank you all so much for the time. I deeply appreciate Wayne for having the courage. So he sent that, he read the book, he emailed me, I answered him, so I'll take some of the credit in a good way because he was surprised that I answered him. Because of that email, I don't know what his third time, fourth time I've been here, that all these things have been taught, and all of that happened because one guy had the courage to reach out. And these tiny things are like the dollar bills on the street. And if you pick them up, good things can start to happen. So thank you all, Gary, for the work to make this happen. I hope to see you next year. Come visit us. Zinc Train seminars are there. Have fun. Life is short. Thank you all.
Thank